Happy Monday and welcome back to the Las Vegas Strip. The Link Studios overlooking Caesar's Palace, of course, alongside an actual human. An actual human is in the studio today. He's Tyler Foldrum. I'm Joe Fortenbaugh. This is Bet. We've got 5 games on our NBA Pick'em card for tonight. We've got 3 games on our College Hoops card, which is stacked. And we're going to talk NFL draft props, with Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN NFL front office insider, in just a little bit. If you're looking for more NFL draft content, we've been rolling a bunch of stuff out on ESPN2's Daily Wager. You can catch it today, 6 p.m. Eastern. You can also catch some of those clips on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ESPN Sports Betting. A real live person.
I mean, it looks the same. It smells the same in here. I'm glad to be back. The show looked good while I was gone, thanks to Anita, Jordan, everyone that filled in those likes. But good to be back in the saddle, baby. Let's do the damn thing.
Well, we missed you. We're glad to have you back. And you know how we do every Monday. It's a little reaction or no action. 3 big topics in which we lay out a statement. You either react if you agree, no action if you disagree. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Currently the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference with a record of 18-7. Reaction or no action, the New York Knicks have put together the most impressive performance of the season so far.
I am impressed with them, but no action. It's not the most impressive performance this season. I don't know how you feel about this, but just a list of a few things I think have been more impressive. LeBron James playing every game this season at age 36 at the minutes he's playing and being the MVP favorite. Utah having the best record in the NBA, shooting and making threes like the vintage Golden State Warriors.
Yes.
That's more impressive. And how about Phoenix at 22-11? They have continued that momentum from the NBA bubble where they were undefeated, added Chris Paul, and they're a top 4 seed in the Western Conference. So all those things, to me, more impressive than the Knicks, but the Knicks have been very impressive.
Okay, I am going to react to this, and I'm going to counter some of those points. Number 1, we're giving LeBron James credit for doing his job. Just for playing games, we're giving him credit for that.
At an exceptional level.
Well done, LeBron, for playing games. We're excited for you. The Utah Jazz are knocking down 3-pointers. Impressive. The one thing about the Jazz, though, if you go back 3 seasons, they went 21-2 over a 23-game stretch. I had completely forgotten about that. And I was sitting here, and we've been talking about them for weeks. It's like, you know what? They really do have to do it in the playoffs. Because we can see it. Now, that's impressive. And one that you talked about before the season started, the Phoenix Suns. They've been outstanding. But I'm going with the Knicks. The Knicks are good for basketball. The New York Knicks are the counted third most expensive franchise, according to Forbes, in all of American sports, behind the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Yankees. They're more expensive than the Los Angeles Lakers. They don't even win games. They've won 1 playoff series this millennium, and Thibodeau has got him at 1 game over 500 right now, 4th seed in the East. They play basketball. I love the fact that they play defense.
James Dolan doesn't deserve that.
He does not.
He does
I haven't known about
the
Dolan.
3rd most valuable franchise in North American sports. That's not right.
All right, reaction or no action number 2. The Arizona Cardinals signed free agent pass rusher J.J. Watt today. 2-year, $31 million deal, $23 million guaranteed. So reaction or no action. The Cardinals will once again miss the playoffs despite the acquisition of Watt.
Reaction. We know the NFC West is deep. Let's talk about the other teams that have to kind of get over to get in the postseason. The Rams upgraded at the most important position in the NFL, quarterback, with Matthew Stafford now. The 49ers should have better injury luck, you would imagine, and they could still upgrade their quarterback position. Who knows? Maybe Deshaun Watson, maybe someone else is coming there. Who knows? But even if Jimmy G is the quarterback there, better injury luck should make them a harder team to beat next year. And then the Seahawks, still at this point in time, have the best quarterback in the division. Now, he may be gone, but if Russell Wilson is taking snaps for the Seahawks, you got to consider them a better team than the Arizona Cardinals. Defensive linemen don't affect games this much, even great ones like J.J. Watt. And then the coaching aspect. Cliff Kingsbury versus Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, and to a lesser degree, Pete Carroll. All 3 of those coaches I would take 6 days a week, twice on Sundays. 6 days a week and twice on Sundays.
Hey, you've been off.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Ease back into that hot tub. No
Why did
rush.
I try and throw that fastball right out of the corner there?
Extra stat got him. The one extra stat. It took one topic, but you and I are in agreement on this one, which is the right side of the equation as well, if I may say. So this is a reaction. Cliff Kingsbury, That's the big question. Mismanaging games at the end. The Miami game, the Patriot game, they had a lot of trouble. Now, maybe he improves, but the addition of Watt, I don't think, puts them over the top. Remember, this is a team last year that started the season 6-3, closed 2-5. The only two teams they beat last season with a winning record were Buffalo on the Hail Murray and Seattle. They had a split inside the division. And remember something, the salary cap came down from about $200 million to about $182 million. This is a lot of money for J.J. Watt, who's averaging just 9.6 point games per season over the last 5 years. Injuries have derailed him. He's not even playing an average of 10 games per year over the last half decade. So a lot of money considering the shrinking salary cap. It can help the pass rush. I don't know if it puts them over the top. Number 3, the Miami Hurricanes, the U, had 6 of their players selected in the first round of the 2004 NFL Draft, which stands as a common draft era record. So reaction or no action? Alabama will have at least 6 players go in the first round of this year's draft.
No action on that. I think the U's record is going to be safe. The biggest concern I have is for projected first-rounder Najee Harris, the running back. Running backs just aren't valued. You don't see running backs going in the first round as often as they did back in the early 2000s. And as great as Najee Harris is, I don't even think he's the best running back in this class. I look at Javonte Williams of UNC as the best running back in this class, and some may consider Travis Etienne a guy who should be drafted over Najee Harris. So because of that running back position and the value that's applied to it in today's modern NFL, that's the one I think is most likely. And who knows if Mac Jones falls out of the first round or Barmore falls out of the first round. It's just too much. That's why I'm going no action. But I'm thinking the reason why is because of Najee Harris.
I agree. No action. It's nothing against Harris. He's a tremendous talent. But you're right. The position has been devalued. And not only that, everyone is looking for something different. Some teams want the big bruising running back. Some teams want the dual threat running back. Remember, last year, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was not the favorite to be the first running back off the board. Very few, if anyone, thought he would be a first rounder, but the Chiefs grabbed him at the end. There's too many surprises here. I don't like messing with that sort of thing. I'll say this. Look at the teams that were at the top of the chart in rushing last year. Baltimore, Tennessee, Cleveland, Minnesota, and the Saints. None of those guys have a first-round running back. I know Mark Ingram was a first-rounder, but he wasn't the primary guy in Baltimore. Henry was a second-rounder. Chubb, Dalvin Cook, all second-rounders. Alvin Kamara in the third round. If you're going to do it, you can get value further down. So I'd bet against the running back position, but I wouldn't really want to bet against the player. He's very good.
Exactly.
All right, so for more on the NFL draft and everything we need to get ready for in the next few weeks, we are going to go outside for some help. ESPN NFL front office insider Mike Tannenbaum, kind enough to join us here on Bet. Mike, we always appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us. First question out of the gate, Mel Kiper added a wrinkle to his mock draft this year. For the first time ever, he's projecting trades. Now, most of these trades involve teams moving up to draft a quarterback. No surprise there. Assuming Trevor Lawrence goes first overall to the Jacksonville Jaguars, which QB do you think goes second?
Great to be with you guys. I'm going to say Zach Wilson, quarterback BYU. I think this guy is a dynamic playmaker. Make all the throws, really good arm strength, very accurate down the field, and to me, he has shown greatness. He has elevated the play of that entire BYU program. So after Trevor Lawrence, I think it's Zach Wilson, BYU.
All right, Mike, in that latest mock, there is not a defensive player taken until the 10th overall selection. So my question to you, are offensive prospects really that much better than the defensive prospects, or is this just something that front offices are valuing more when they draft near the top offensive players?
Yeah, it's a really interesting year, guys. It's a confluence of a few things. Everyone that needs a quarterback, those quarterbacks are going to get pushed up. So the Trey Lances, Justin Fields of the world, they're going to move up. And there's a lot of uncertainty when you talk to teams around the league. Is it Greg Rousseau, the pass rusher from University of Miami? Is it a corner like Patrick Surtain from University of Alabama? There's not really a clear-cut defensive player that's sticking out. So it's a premium on the offensive playmakers like quarterbacks, a couple receivers, and really the lack of a consensus of a dominant defensive player. So it's a little bit of both.
Kiper has Heisman Trophy winner DeVonta Smith, wide receiver out of Alabama, going ahead of LSU wide receiver Jamar Chase. He cites the fact that Chase sat out the season due to COVID concerns as something that damages his stock. Now, if you were working in a front office right now, how would you evaluate Chase versus Smith?
Yeah, it's really close, but I'm going to go with Jamar Chase, wide receiver LSU, and here's why. when you look at someone like Justin Jefferson, who had an unbelievable year for the Minnesota Vikings, Chase was actually the better player of those two back at LSU a year ago. Now, the whole situation with these players opting out is a fascinating discussion. I think ultimately we can't hold it against them from a standpoint from an NFL perspective because, look, COVID was such a unique situation for everybody in society. So Jamar Chase is a dynamic player, taking nothing away from DeVonta Smith, who I think is great. But when you look at height, weight, speed, build, production, Jamar Chase, to me, is the better player and the better prospect.
Lastly, Mike, we were just talking about it, Joe and I, the running back position in the NFL, not valued like it once was a few decades ago. The consensus top two prospects, Travis Etienne out of Clemson, Najee Harris out of Alabama, are neck and neck to be first off the board. Which prospect do you give the edge to?
Both great players, but I'm going to go with Travis Etienne from Clemson. And here's the difference. Etienne is explosive in the passing game, and we're talking about a premium in what we're doing in the passing game in the NFL. Etienne can score every single time he catches the ball. So they're both great runners. Both can go inside, bounce it outside. But the difference between the two is what Etienne can do in the passing game. And we talk about players like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who won in the first round last year to Kansas City. I think in the right situation, Travis Etienne could come in and have an immediate impact at the next level.
ESPN NFL front office insider Mike Tannenbaum, kind enough to join us here on Bet. Mike, we always appreciate the time and the insights. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, guys. Great to be with you.
You got it. All right, 59 days until the start of the 2021 NFL Draft. So let's scratch the surface here a little bit. Mel Kiper has five quarterbacks going in the first round. Agree, disagree, thoughts on that?
Agree wholeheartedly. With the way that the CBA has changed, where you no longer have to pay first-round draft pick quarterbacks $60 million like Sam Bradford and Matt Stafford got, it is incumbent upon front offices to try and find a competitive advantage by drafting quarterbacks in the first round that have these very team-friendly rookie deals. It's what helped the Seattle Seahawks with Russell Wilson. It's what helped the Rams before he got paid with Jared Goff. It's what teams like the Houston Texans were able to do with Deshaun Watson before he got paid. Mahomes and the Chiefs. It is incumbent upon these teams to try and find capable young quarterbacks on that rookie deal, because then you can allocate more resources to the rest of your roster. So I absolutely think 5 quarterbacks will be taken in the first half of the first round of this NFL draft.
Wouldn't surprise me either, and you hit all the key points. There's nothing more valuable in all of sports than the NFL franchise quarterback on his rookie deal. It gives teams like Arizona the ability to go sign J.J. Watt because Kyler Murray doesn't cost that much money. You get the 4-year contract guaranteed, then you have the 5th-year option, then you have the franchise tag. Then, in the case of possibly Dak Prescott, there could be another franchise tag coming. So ultimately, it could be 6 years of control. And there's also this point. Nothing rejuvenates a fan base like a first-round quarterback.
Oh, God,
Suddenly there's belief. There's hope.
God,
Imagine if Chicago comes out and drafts a quarterback. Imagine if the Patriots come out and draft a quarterback.
I will say this, in the instance of Chicago, I'm not sure the fan base would have much faith in their first-round draft pick, considering the way Ryan Pace has handled that in years past. But by and large, I agree with your sentiment there. Just the hope and optimism of something that's not Mitchell Trubisky or something that's not whatever quarterback has failed to reach his expectation. I generally agree with that.
Funny note on Chicago, and I know you spent a lot of time there, so you probably know this. It's the only fan base in the history of sports that was actively pissed off that they were in the playoffs. They were so mad that the team got in because it meant that the general manager and head coach were coming back. People were so mad about that. All right. Some NFL draft props. Let's see what you're thinking early in the process. We're not locking into anything here unless you say so. First running back off the board. Clemson's Travis Etienne at -150 against Najee Harris at +125.
I agree, I think, with what Mike Tannenbaum said. I think Etienne is the better prospect. I think he's got the better kind of reputation in the scouting community as well. However, I think Javonte Williams is the best running back in this class.
Oh, you're going off the board here.
I'm going off the board here, and I think last time I checked on Caesars William Hill, he was +800 or 8-1 to be the first running back off the board. He led all running backs outside of the guy from Buffalo, Patterson, in touchdowns a season ago. So he is 8-1. I just heard that in my ear. That's the running back that I am going to wager my money on as the first off the board, because I actually think he's the best. When I watch these guys, Harris, big bruiser, has some athleticism. Etienne's got that speed, but Javonte Williams, to me, has it all. He could be a 3-down back that dominates at the next level.
so much passion, I am going to go ahead and side with you on that as well. I'm going to throw a couple bucks on that. If I had to pick on this one alone, I would take Najee Harris only because it's plus money.
Sure.
And like we talked about earlier, there's so many different shapes and sizes of running back that teams are looking for. Some want the Derrick Henry bruiser, some want the dual threat back. I'm not going to lay that type of wood against a guy like Harris. I would rather bet on one team falling in love with Harris than lay that type of juice. Let's talk about wide receivers next. We were talking about it with Tannenbaum. Jamar Chase, minus 160 against DeVonta Smith, the Heisman Trophy winner.
Right.
Non-quarterback Heisman Trophy winner is the underdog here. Where would you go?
I actually would kind of go off the board here again with Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle is someone who could provide value. Now, I do think Jamar Chase is the best prospect amongst this group, but Waddle is a guy who might run a high 4.2, low 4.3. He has elite level speed, and we know that teams get enamored with that. He was the wide receiver one before DeVonta Smith.
Yes.
He was the wide receiver one there in Alabama, then had the issues this year with injuries. So plus 750, similar to Javonte Williams. I just like the value way more for guys that I actually think are better prospects, or at least equal. In the case of the wide receivers, I do think Chase is the best. In the case of the running backs, I think Williams is the best. But Chase, Smith, and Waddle all neck and neck. Why not get the better value at plus 750?
Did we see was Henry Ruggs the first wide receiver last year off the board to the Raiders? Because Jefferson was in the 20s, Brandon Ayuk was in the 20s.
And C.D. Lamb.
Jerry Jeudy.
C.D. Lamb. I think he was. I think Henry Ruggs was.
Don't be surprised if there's an upset then.
There's
an upset last
speed
year.
demon from Alabama.
Another one from Alabama. First offensive lineman, Penei Sewell from Oregon, minus 1,000. Everybody you talk to who evaluates him loves him.
He's a beast.
I don't know if you'd lay that type of wood. Would you take a shot against it?
I wouldn't lay the wood. I wouldn't take a shot against it either. I'd just pass on this because Sewell is only 20 years old, by the way. He's already got brute strength to match anyone in the National Football League. His technique is good, and it will only get better. But that strength is something that is elite level that you can't teach. You can teach the footwork, which his is already pretty good, but he's only 20 years old. Being that young and being as big and strong as he is, having the experience he does at Oregon, Sewell's going to be the first tackle lineman off the board.
I'll give you an angle. For the number 2 overall pick, him, 8-1.
Yeah.
If the Jets don't move on from Sam Darnold,
agree.
They could use some help on the offensive line. They've finished in the bottom 9 in sacks allowed each of the last 2 years. That would be the pick. If they don't trade the pick and they don't trade Donald, he would be the guy at 8-1. I think it's worth a shot there.
I don't know what the odds are on this, but we were talking about pass catchers, wide receivers, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, DeVonta Smith. Almost, I would guess, you know how they say 4 out of 5 dentists recommend you chew this gum? I would say 4 out of 5 scouting services or scouting departments in the National Football League think the best pass catcher is actually tight end Kyle Pitts. Now, you don't draft a tight end. It's never happened inside the first 4 picks. But Kyle Pitts is maybe that generational. I wonder what the price is for him to go before any wide receiver, because that's something that could provide some good value, because Pitts is an absolute monster.
Some of those will start rolling out soon as we get closer to the draft. Like I said, 59 days away, but let's zero in. Yeah, not that we're excited to bet that or everything else, but we've got some more pressing issues. The NBA card tonight, we have isolated 5 games. We are going to bet. You can go side, you can go total, you can go prop, and we're going to start with the Dallas Mavericks. They're laying 6, total of 221 at Orlando to take on the Magic. Any thoughts here?
Yeah, I'm going to lay with the Mavericks. Kristaps Porzingis, last I checked, considered to be probable for this matchup. That makes the Dallas Mavericks whole. They have obviously been playing some good basketball as of late. Meanwhile, the Magic, Aaron Gordon's still out. So is Cole Anthony. James Ennis, a rotation player on the perimeter, also out. We know Fultz and Jonathan Isaac aren't playing basketball for them. I think Nick Vucevic is getting a little worn down by trying to carry this team. Mavs have won 3 of their last 4. Magic, meanwhile, are 5-17 after starting the year 8-4. Had a good start, 8-4, 5-17 since. I'll lay the wood with the Mavs.
All right, I can't disagree with that. I find myself leaning a little bit to the over. I'm going against the move here because it dropped precipitously, but it's because of the presence of Kristaps Porzingis. Now, offensively, their rating is 115 versus 109 without him. It's a big jump. But look at what happens defensively. They're a mess with him on the floor defensively. Defensive rating with Porzingis is 119.1. To translate that into layman's terms, that would be the absolute worst rating in the entire NBA if that was the case for the entire season. If he was playing every single minute, they would have the worst rating in the NBA. Without Kristaps Porzingis, the defensive rating is 107. That would be 4th best in the NBA. He is that much of a liability on the defensive end. I look to the over, but with all the injuries on Orlando, I think it's a little bit dicey. Game number 2, Philadelphia 76ers, laying 4, total of 223 against the Indiana Pacers. Careful here. A lot of guys listed as questionable, including Joel Embiid and Tobias Harris for Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's a concern. Malcolm Brogdon and Jeremy Lamb are also questionable on the other side, last I checked, for the Indiana Pacers. I still just think the Sixers are the better team. I have a feeling that it's more likely that the Indy guys miss than the Sixers guys. That's just a gut. I don't have that on any authority. But Embiid has been questionable a lot of times this year and still played as he's trying to, build that MVP resume. Sixers, your Philadelphia 76ers, 14-3 at home this season.
Very good.
And I don't know since I've been off for 2 weeks, but last I checked before, they were 13-0 when their starting lineup of Simmons, Seth Curry, Danny Green, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid had started. When they have their whole starting five, they've been unbeaten 2 weeks ago. Now, I don't know if that's changed while I was off, but my point is...
I think that may have fallen apart in that Portland game.
They're very good. They're very good when all guys are there.
Like, literally, the last time you mentioned it, I think it lost that night.
Well, sorry for the mush, Philly. But I just think the Sixers are the better team, especially at home. I will lay the 4 with the 76ers, hoping that Embiid plays.
They're also coming off a horrific, inexcusable loss
Bingo.
to Cleveland over the weekend. So this is a big bounce-back spot. I'll play the under here. There's a significant drop-off in offensive rating with or without Embiid. The defensive rating doesn't do much. That's why I'm going to isolate this. Indiana has just been dreadful offensively this season. They've been dreadful just about in every way imaginable. They've dropped 10 of 14. You got Philly coming off that loss. So even if Harris and or Embiid are out, I think you're going to get a spirited effort, like you said. You've got to bounce back from what happened there. And I think defensively, that's where it's going to be the key. Indiana, 12th in defensive rating, but 14th in pace. Total sitting at 223. I think this should be in the teens. I'll play the under. Utah, red hot, the Jazz, laying 7, total of 236 as they are traveling to New Orleans to take on the Pelicans.
I'm not afraid of that total. I'm going to go over. I'm also going to lay it with the Jazz against the Pelicans. The Pelicans have been an over machine this season, by the way. Absolutely unbelievable. They have the best over percentage in the NBA. And the Jazz, the way they shoot and take threes against a defense that bad, that makes me feel good about a lot of points being scored. Pelicans, meanwhile, 3-7 in their last 10 games. Not being able to defend against this Utah team is not a good thing to bring to the table.
No, it is not.
Even though I had to, cover 7 points, I feel comfortable with that because New Orleans, 115.7 points per game allowed this season, is 26 in the NBA. Utah is the best point differential in the NBA, and they've had a few recent hiccups here relative to what we've seen. So I think they come out focused against New Orleans, deliver a beatdown, going over and laying it with the Jazz.
I will lay the 7 as well. I'm going to play into what you were saying. Look at New Orleans three-point shooting, and then look at Utah's three-point shooting versus New Orleans three-point defense. Utah leads the NBA in three-point attempts. They're third in three-point percentage. On the flip side, you have a New Orleans team that is third worst in both attempts allowed and three-pointers made. I know that's very convoluted, but here's basically what that means. Utah shoots a lot of threes, makes a lot of threes. New Orleans can't defend the three. People are bombing threes on them like crazy, and they're making them. That doesn't lead anyone to a good spot if you like New Orleans. And the defense, that's the key. New Orleans can run with some of these teams, but Utah is a top 3 defensive unit, whereas New Orleans has really struggled on that side. Second worst in defensive rating behind only Sacramento. So I'll lay the 7. You and I are aligned there. All right, Brooklyn, the Nets, laying 4.5, total of 234. They are in San Antonio, taking on the Spurs.
Where Crooklyn at? I'm going to go over 234 with Brooklyn. They, too, an over machine. Kyrie Irving expected to be back after missing that game against the Dallas Mavericks. Brooklyn second in the league in offensive rating, 8th in pace. They don't play very good defense as well, 26th in defensive rating, so that helps. Even if Keldon Johnson is out and some of the COVID issues that San Antonio has, they should be able to score on this team. Also, like a prop with Kyrie Irving, a little bonus here, over 5.5 assists for Kyrie Irving. James Harden should have his double-double as well, but Kyrie Irving, I think, has had 7, 8, and 9 dimes in the last 3 games he's played. And with no Kevin Durant, his assist total or his assist rate actually goes up a lot without KD on the floor.
I'm taking the Spurs.
Are you really?
Does it felt weird researching it, getting behind
tell me
and
why.
then writing it down.
Sell me here on this used
Spurs
car.
can play some defense. The offense is terrible, but you're going to be able to score against Brooklyn. Harden is in Houston on Wednesday night. They got a big game coming up Wednesday night at Houston. If I'm Harden and I'm his teammates, I'm looking at that and I'm thinking about this little redemption spot. Even though Houston has been awful, they've lost 11 in a row. They got massacred over the weekend. I think this is one of those, Pop's going to have his team ready. He's going to be able to draw up enough defense, get enough offense. And then for Brooklyn, I think it's one of those, maybe they overlook it a little bit games. They have some of those from time to time. I'm going to take a shot. The line's been coming down.
I know.
Which is the thing.
When does Brooklyn play Houston?
Wednesday.
Wednesday? I think Tuesday or Wednesday night, James Harden's going to visit some old spots in Houston.
Go see his retired jersey.
Exactly. Hanging in the rafters at the
final game.
Gentleman's Lounge.
On the NBA card before we move to college hoops. Portland laying 7.5, total of 230. Total's been coming down. Was it 233? Now at 230. They're hosting the Charlotte Hornets.
Again, expecting a lot of points. I'm going to go over here, 230. Charlotte is 12th in pace this season. Portland is 7th in offensive rating. Neither is that great defensively. Gordon Hayward, Devontae Graham, and Cody Zeller likely going to be out for the Charlotte Hornets, but that just means LaMelo Ball takes on more responsibility, and I like that because LaMelo's been great as the front runner for Rookie of the Year. Charlotte played last night in Sacramento, a game that was a regulation 48 minutes, and it featured 253 points. Woo. Sacramento and Portland very similar in how they play. Fast, offensive-driven teams that don't play good defense, so I think Charlotte can put up enough points. As a matter of fact, my best bet on Daily Wager today is going to be a prop from this game.
Ooh.
It involves LaMelo Ball. I like him to go for a double-double.
Ooh.
It's 130.
ESPN 2, 6 p.m. Eastern. You can catch more of that type of analysis. Not so much whispering. We tend to do a lot of shouting in that studio. I'm with you on the over. I'm a little bit timid at the fact that it's been crashing, that it's come down this low. It scares me a little bit, but I will play the over. Charlotte on this current 6-game road trip, they've played 4 games. They're giving up 127 points per game. 127. Portland's been off since Friday. They've been on a losing streak. They got to bounce back. Yeah. I think you're going to get a really good Portland offensive effort. Maybe look at the Portland team total on offense to go over as well. Some college hoops. Big Monday. You ready?
Ready, baby.
3 key games here. Number 1, the Oklahoma Sooners and Oklahoma State, the Cowboys, rematch from Saturday. They just played. Oklahoma is laying 2.5, total of 142.5 in Stillwater. Which way are you going?
I like the money line on the home team, plus 120 for Oklahoma State. They're 9-3 at home this season with wins over Kansas, Arkansas, Texas, Texas Tech, all ranked teams. Cade Cunningham will be the best player on the floor, as he showed this weekend in Norman. And the Cowboys are just playing better basketball right now, so I like them as a money line dog at plus 120.
They've been good. I like the aggression. I'm on the other side. I'm going to lay the points with Oklahoma here. You're trying to beat the same team twice in 3 days. Kind of like a double header. You win the first game, then you tend to take the second game off. That's one situation. Number 2, Oklahoma was laying 6 on Saturday. Now, it was a home game. They lose that game in overtime, I believe it was. It was a tight one.
Yep.
And now they're only a 2.5-point favorite. I think that's a big over-adjustment. I think there's an opportunity here. I will take the Sooners. Game number 2, North Carolina. Roy Williams and the Tar Heels laying 2.5, total of 151. They are in Syracuse taking on the Orange.
I like Syracuse here, plus 2.5. They're 11-1 at the Carrier Dome this season as Cuse. UNC doesn't shoot the three-point shot well enough to make Jim Boeheim's team pay for that 2-3 zone. They're 325th in college basketball in three-point makes is UNC, and they're 295th in three-point percentage from beyond the arc. So they're also in a sandwich spot. They just had that nice win over Florida State, and Duke is their next game after this, so maybe a letdown. I like Cuse with the points in my pocket.
All right, I'm with you on that. At home this year in conference play, Syracuse 6-1, on the road 2-6. So I think there's some value here in the idea of them playing at home as a dog. Right. North Carolina has had letdown after letdown this season. They beat Duke in that big matchup on a Saturday night. Then they all got caught partying, no mask. They had to cancel the game Monday, right? Then they go out and they beat Louisville this past week, and they immediately fall flat against Marquette. I don't think they're a very disciplined team. Now, if the huge Florida State win, I think this is a letdown spot. I will take Syracuse with you. Final game on the card for us tonight, Oregon.
12 goodies.
Laying 4.5, total of 139.5, hosting the Arizona Wildcats.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from the side here because Arizona, I think Oregon is the better team in a better spot, but Arizona, this is basically their last game of their season. So they have a postseason ban, so they may be a little fired up. I'm going to go under, though. I think 139.5 is a little too high. First time these two teams met, they combined for just 124 points. Neither is a fast-paced team, both bottom third in college hoops and pace. Arizona's 225th, Oregon's 232nd. And if Arizona is looking at it as their, last game of the season, it could be a focused defensive effort from Sean Miller's squad, so I'm going under. I
like what you're saying. I'm agreeing with the under as well. When they got together that first time, what was it, 124 total points? That's 15.5 under what they're asking for now. Neither team shot all that well. Neither team defended all that great versus all that poorly. The key was the pace in that game. That was the slowest pace of any Arizona game this season. It was the slowest pace of any Oregon game this season. Neither team has played at a slower pace than that. So even if they up the pace in this game, we're still talking about the difference between 124 points scored in the first game and 139.5 as the total for this game. It's been crashing down a little bit, so we're not getting the best of it, but I will play the over with you. And here, how about this?
There's a roulette bet in there. There is a roulette bet. We have a roulette bet on that Oklahoma State-Oklahoma game. So
you can have the points in that one because I could see this working out where Oklahoma wins by 1. I lose the side, you lose the money line, and we come in here and no
everyone's
one spins
the
the wheel. All right, good to have you back, bud.
Hey, it's good to be back, brother. Can't wait to get back. I mean, it's a little rusty here, but back in the saddle, feeling good. Some winners tonight, baby.
We will be back on Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, with another installment of Bet. But you can catch us later today, Daily Wager, ESPN 2, 6 p.m. Eastern. We'll be talking about the J.J. Watt transaction, a little baseball as well. Have a good night, everybody.